if somebody's trying to hit their water goal and they realize, well, I only had like 8 ounces of water, you don't want to go chugging all that water right before you go to bed because you're going to wake up, you're not going to sleep well. So if you can cut the water off and any beverages, alcohol included, about 2 hours before bed.
What would you prioritize in the event of, you haven't been doing this stuff throughout the day? Like, I haven't drinking all day, where's that flexibility?
I would say if you're really, really, really hungry and you feel like you're not going to be able to sleep because you're so hungry, I would have a little snack. But if you're like, I'm okay, just going to bed's okay. There's a lot of good evidence about intermittent fasting and not overdoing the calories and the portion sizes. And honestly, you don't have to eat every single meal every day. You want to listen to your body a little bit.
Family medicine physician and lifestyle medicine expert, Dr. Arianna Becker, joins the show to break down how small, intentional changes can transform your health and quality of life.
As someone who is in the field of health, what is happening between some of these changes that we experience and that we see on a social level, on a cultural level, where there's a new status quo? What do you feel like have been some of the impacts?
I think it's scary and sad to see how dependent we all are on technology and how we've replaced live interactions and social connections with some of this stuff. And now, I'm not saying that everything about social media is bad, but I do think a lot of times we will see this idealistic person maybe that we see on social media, and we think that they have it all together, and then we feel bad about ourselves. And I think it can really lead to depression, anxiety, and it can negatively impact our mental health if we let it.
First and foremost, just thank you for meeting with me today and taking a little bit of time to speak about the things that you do. For those that do not know, who are you and what do you do?
Yes, I appreciate you having me so much. I'm very excited about this. So my name's Arianna Becker, and I am a family medicine doctor, and I'm also certified in lifestyle medicine. And I have a passion for trying to help people achieve their health care goals through lifestyle changes, changing habits, dietary, nutrition, physical activity, sleep, all of these different aspects. I try to help patients and people and families try to think about those a little bit more so that they can live their healthiest and happiest life. And we look at longevity. There's so much information out there about longevity and how to live a healthy life, but I think quality of life is very important, and just trying to make little changes in your day-to-day to try to reach your goals.
Out of curiosity, one of the things that I've always been curious about is, what's the difference between medicine, lifestyle medicine, and holistic medicine? I imagine there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
How would you define some of those differences?
It's a great question. So there's a lot of overlap, I would say. And lifestyle medicine, it focuses on 6 different pillars of your life. And it's really the basics. It's the things that we just don't think about and we don't give it the attention that it probably needs. So regular medicine, we try to incorporate a lot of these concepts of lifestyle medicine into it, but sometimes we can forget about that a little bit as doctors. And someone with high cholesterol, say, for example, we don't get much time with our patients. When we work for a big organization or, when we're seeing patients in the office, we might get maybe like 10 minutes with them. So it's a lot easier to say, well, here's this cholesterol medication. It's going to help bring your cholesterol down. Lifestyle medicine really tries to get at the root of the problem and say, well, why don't we change your diet? Why don't we try to turn towards more of a plant-based diet? Why don't we try to increase our exercise and do all the things naturally that can help your cholesterol? And maybe it be with the medicine, or maybe we can do enough of these things so that you don't need a medication. But it's really just focusing on easy things that, it's not easy for people to change habits, but it's little things that don't take much effort if you're very intentional with what you're trying to do.
Mm. And so like an idea of like the food as medicine things, I imagine. And out of curiosity, is there ever moments where medicine is at odds with lifestyle, even medicine as a business? Sometimes I wonder those things as well, because, there's so much money in healthcare, especially here in the United States, right? Where, there's companies, that we hear about pharmaceutical companies and jacking up the prices. And we think about, I think sometimes we think about medicine as being always altruistic in its nature. But then we hear these stories of these medicine companies that are taking advantage sometimes of people. And it seems like some of the, do you ever feel like the big medicine or, you know, big pharmaceuticals ever at odds with the ethos of medicine, you know, that you see?
Absolutely. And it's tough because, you know, there's so much going on in the world right now, and a lot of the struggles that sometimes we have as doctors is it's tough to get certain things covered by insurance a lot of times. That's something that really can make it tough for us to do our job sometimes, if whether be a medication that's not covered that the patient needs. Or, you know, getting things like nutrition counseling covered by insurance and mental health covered by insurance. It's tough because everybody has different goals of, you know, what they're trying to do, and an insurance company's goal is different than a doctor's goal, is different than a patient's goal. So I think you're always going to have some of that, but I wish there would be more emphasis on prevention and things like trying to keep patients healthy and families healthy so that maybe they didn't need some of these medications, or maybe they won't need, you know, a heart bypass surgery or some of these other things. If we could just get to the root of the problem and try to empower people to be more informed about their health and the things that will really actually improve their health and their longevity long term.
If you could distill your mission into one sentence, what would you say it would be?
I would say it would be to help those around me try to improve their health through natural ways.
Is there anything that led you to that? Because I'm so big on that journey. For some context, my mother struggles with cancer, and I think that one of the things that we sometimes struggle with is this like side of the chemotherapy and the radiation and the continued treatments and the things that, like, my stepmom had died because she had over radiated her internal organs to the point that they essentially died from radiation, you know. And while the cancer was gone, there was a whole new problem that came from some of these extreme sources of just chemotherapy and like the effects that it has on her body. And I saw her just slowly start to wither away, you know. And sometimes I feel the same thing with my own mom, and the radiation, the weakness, and how sometimes it's like she knows to exercise, she knows to do those things, but she'll go to radiation therapy and she'll just feel so exhausted that she cannot do the things that would be more, I feel like, on the lifestyle side of things, the mobility, the walking with, and so it's kind of like, sometimes I feel like it's like we're at odds with these two different sides, you know?
Yeah.
And I've kind of gotten to the point where it's almost like, honestly, like maybe we just focus on the lifestyle things. I've been studying and trying to understand more about how do we heal from ways that you can still just be a human first as opposed to a subject to these treatments. Things like the exercise, things like foods, and leveraging foods as medicine. Like, I was hearing a lot about angiogenesis and like the how blood vessels, how you can kind of have things to control your blood vessels, their growth, and limit blood vessel growth to cancer cells and stuff like that, you know. So this is something that like really kind of touches even my own experience. What have you seen, and what advancements have there been in this lifestyle? Because in some sense, we've gone from having everything was natural for the most part before we really had what modern medicine kind of looks like, right? All you had was food.
Yeah.
And I think there was a lot of ancient wisdom. I think there was a lot of ancestral understanding of food as medicine, of health as medicine. It seems like we're kind of coming full circle, where a lot of that stuff is now being re-understood, re-researched. What advancements have you kind of seen in this lifestyle medicine or natural paths that you feel like people should know about?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I want to say I'm sorry with all the things that you've had to go through. That is so tough. I hate cancer. Everyone hates cancer. It's really hard to watch a family member, somebody you love, go through that. And I'll say that it's just very interesting to see all of the things that are coming out to support lifestyle medicine and the different things that you can do to try to prevent your chances of cancer. And not to say that everyone can prevent their chance of cancer, because, it has a lot to do with other things, genetics and family history. But if we can do certain things in our everyday life to try to reduce our chance, and I just wish more people knew about that and would try to do these things. For example, a plant-forward diet, and I'm not saying everybody has to be completely vegan, because I don't think that that's realistic for people. And I think we have to say things that are actually realistic, because what's the point of me saying it if it's not something that certain people are going to be able to do? But I think the more you can eat a plant-based diet or plant-forward diet with lots of vegetables, the goal is to try to get at least 30 different types of fruits and vegetables, or like plant-based foods a week. I think that has a lot of benefit to your health, and we see how this can help reduce chances of developing heart attacks and strokes, because it reduces coronary artery disease and plaque buildup in your blood vessels. We see also that depression and anxiety, which is a very, very prevalent thing in our society, we see how regular exercise can work just as well as like a low dose depression medication or anxiety medication. Studies support that. And even just, people feel it themselves when they start going on walks, when they start trying to incorporate a little bit more exercise. They might not feel like doing it because they're depressed or they're super anxious and they feel overwhelmed. They feel like they don't have time to do these things. But if you really try to look at your day-to-day and you set a time to do some of these things and change your habits, I think people can feel a big change in their mood and how they're feeling by trying to really focus and be intentional on getting their exercise and fueling their body with food. You're exactly right. Food is medicine. And there's a lot of different foods that we can do for certain health conditions. Beets, for example, can help with lower blood pressure. I'm not saying that people should stop all their medication, just eat beets. But if you could incorporate beets in your diet and you start doing regular exercise, and people who might, have issues with being overweight, if they're able to exercise and eat right and lose weight, you might be able to reduce some of these medications. And it's a very cool field that I'm not biased, but I'm very interested in it, because I just see these changes people can make, and then I see the results of it. And it's amazing, and it's so empowering for the patient, and it's so rewarding for me to be able to see these patients who make these changes, and then suddenly they're living a more fulfilling life.
So on your website, I know in your videos, you outline the importance of like 6 main areas, right? The whole food, plant forward diet, as you mentioned, regular exercise, some sleep, stress management, avoidance of risky substances, and the importance of these social connections.
Yes.
Right. So I imagine, let's take the worst case situation, right? You got somebody that's just eating fast food every day. They're all processed foods, right?
Yeah.
They're never exercise. They can't sleep. They're restless. They're maybe playing video games at night or something, like just watching TV to go to sleep. They have very low social connections or trust between people. They're dealing with that isolation, completely stressed out, smoking, drinking, coping through other substances and stuff. That's that person. Where do you recommend that they start with these things? How do you recommend that they start changing?
Yeah. So there are a lot of different things that you could think about. I mean, that is a lot of people in America. Fortunately, you described a lot of people. And, it's sad because we slip into these habits and without realizing it, honestly, because society supports that, processed food. It's convenience. That's the stuff that's easiest to get. So I would tell that person to try to focus on things that will make the right choice the easier choice for them. So we can look at each topic So for example, when you're talking about eating more of a plant-forward diet or more vegetables in their diet, a great place to start with that is to try to do a meal delivery service. Not everybody has time or feels like they could make a delicious homemade meal for themselves or their family. And it can be a little bit more expensive to get some of these meal delivery services, but I think you have to think about your long-term health and the fact that, well, you might not need insulin someday, or you might not need to buy all these medications if you put the time and the effort and maybe a little bit of extra money in now to set yourself up for success in the future. So a meal delivery service is a great way to make it easy for you to make a healthier choice. Some of my favorites are Green Chef. That's what we use a lot in my family, and our kids eat it too. And Green Chef, they deliver it to your house every Monday. And we make these meals. We get 3 meals a week, and they're all very plant forward. You can get different types too. You can do like all completely plant-based, or you can do like vegetarian, but there's different types that you can get, and it just makes it easy. Like if I would get home from a long day of work and I didn't have that, the easiest thing would be to order some food, get pizza, something that's going to be delivered to my house. But if I get home and I've got it already in the kitchen, in the fridge waiting for me, that makes the healthier choice the easier choice for me. So meal delivery service, and I think meal prepping, a lot of people underestimate these little things that you can do, and you just have to find a time to do it. Like look at your calendar, say Sunday night, I'm going to meal prep, and I'm going to get these things ready for the rest of my week. And that's what we do. We have our kids have these little bento boxes, and my husband has his little like glass bento boxes. And what we do is we get all of the food ready for the week for lunches. So we're not scrambling in the morning, creating stress, trying to get a lunch ready or together. It's already ready. We pull it out of the fridge and it's ready to go for the day. Setting these things up so it's very easy is key. And I think trying to do a lot of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, trying to go to some of the farmers markets and supporting like local farmers, I think is awesome. I've been working with Four Roots Farms for some events, and I think they're an awesome place to check out too, because they're local and they have a lot of very, very cool events that they do. And they have these amazing fresh fruits and vegetables that you can get. And we just did an event where we got to go and harvest the food, and then we created the meal all together with the chef, Chef Hari. He's amazing. You should definitely check him out if you haven't seen him. But it was so cool. I was there speaking on the health benefits of soy in this event, and he was there creating a healthy meal where we made tofu and we picked out vegetables and lettuce from the garden there at Four Roots. And it was just a really cool experience, and it got, talking about social connections, it got people working together, creating this meal, and it was very cool to meet new people, just have an experience like that. So I would say for that person to also look for events locally that are going on. There's things like that all the time, all around us, especially in Orlando. Like there's a lot of cool things that you can get involved with. You just have to make time to look for these things. As far as sleep goes, my best sleep tips, I have a 3-2-1 rule, which a lot of people talk about, and I'll say kind of what my specific things for that are. So I say 3 hours before bed, try not to eat anything, nothing with calories. And I say that because a lot of people get into trouble when, they put the kids to bed, or they're watching TV before they go to bed. And that's when you want a snack. That's when you want the ice cream. That's when you want, all the chips and the candies and things like that. So I think having a solid rule, and I even put an alarm on my phone because that's what's going to remind me. Is my alarm is set for 7 p.m. It just says, don't eat anymore. It says stop eating. But I need that to remind myself, like, oh, this is the time that you really don't want to go eat ice cream now, because it's not going to do anything good for me. It doesn't help me reach my goals. Eating ice cream at 9 p.m. right before I go to bed isn't going to help me sleep any better. So try not to eat 3 hours before bed. Try not to drink anything 2 hours before bed, because a lot of times we'll be drinking fluids and we realize, you want to try to get, when we're thinking about how much water you want to get in a day, you usually take your weight and you divide it in half, and that's how many ounces you should get. So if somebody's trying to hit their water goal and they realize, oh, I only had like 8 ounces of water, you don't want to go chucking all that water right before you go to bed because you're going to wake up. You're not going to sleep well. You might get up multiple times at night. So if you can cut the water off and any beverages, alcohol included, about 2 hours before bed, that will really benefit your sleep. And then the last one is 1 hour before bed. You should not have any lights. You shouldn't be on your phone. Even like just like, scrolling social media, even reading like a Kindle book. I think they have these blue light blockers, but honestly, I think it's better if you can do something more relaxing the hour before bed. Dim the lights, have a really, really solid nighttime routine. I think the nighttime routine is essential in having a successful day the following day. And kind of thinking about your goals for the next day. That's a good time to do it, is before bed. Kind of making a list of the things that you want to make sure are a priority for the next day so that you can have a productive, efficient day and make sure that you're doing the things that you need to do on a daily basis. So bedtime routine is crucial. That's another time where you can get everything ready for the following day. Fill up your water jug, so that you've got it ready to go. So the first thing when you wake up, you make sure to drink your water. Getting out your workout clothes, laying them out the night before so that when you wake up, that's what's laying out. That's what's easiest. I'm going to put on my workout clothes and I'm going to go work out to start the day. You just have to think of these little things that you can tweak to make the good, the healthier choice, the one that you're going to do. The other things we talked about, social connections, I think.
Can I ask about the three rule?
No.
I want to break down all of these things because I think people need to understand these things. Like I told you, myself included, right? But like, you get home from a long day, right? You just been, working away. Do you prioritize? Would you prioritize just? Let's say you haven't eaten. Would you prioritize just, hey, you know what? I know I haven't eaten. Maybe I just have like a light snack in the 3 hour before you go to bed range? Or do you think that it's just sometimes better to restart the day for your body, right? I think it'd just be better to restart the day and stick to the 3, 2, 1. What would you prioritize in the event of, you haven't been doing this stuff throughout the day?
Yeah.
And now nighttime comes and you're like, oh snap, like I haven't drinking all day, Where's that flexibility?
That's a great question. So I would say, as Americans, most of us overeat. We eat a lot more calories than we need. We have really large portion sizes when we go out to eat. I've got some good tips about going out to eat too, which we can always circle back to.
Let's go.
But so say you haven't eaten, you realize it's 8 p.m. at night and you're getting ready to start your bedtime routine. I try to be in bed at around 9:30. So this is the time where, and I would say if you're really, really, really hungry and you feel like you're not going to be able to sleep because you're so hungry, I would have a little snack. But if you're like, I'm okay, just going to bed's okay. There's a lot of good evidence about intermittent fasting and not overdoing the calories and the portion sizes. And honestly, like, you don't have to eat every single meal every day. You want to listen to your body a little bit. And if you're like, I had a pretty big lunch and I didn't have that much movement today and I feel like I'm okay and I don't really need to eat a dinner, then you can do that. You can just go to sleep, start fresh the next day, and make sure that you've got everything kind of lined up for the morning. And not everybody's going to have a good day every single day. So a lot of people get frustrated, especially when you're like, say someone's trying to work on weight loss or lowering their blood pressure through dietary changes and they're tracking their foods on an app. I really like MyFitnessPal and MyNetDiary. I think those are 2 good ones. But I have a tendency, I'll maybe track for a couple of weeks, I'll do really good, and then say it's somebody's birthday and I eat a piece of cake or I accidentally eat 2 pieces of cake, something really like that. I'm like, that was bad. Shouldn't have done that, Then I personally, and I think a lot of other people have the tendency to be like, I quit. Like, I'm not going to log it. And then you just fall off. And what you have to tell yourself is nobody's perfect. Everybody has bad days. That 2 pieces of cake, that wasn't the best choice I've ever made in my life. But I can start fresh tomorrow. And you just try to not have 2 bad days in a row. If you have 1 bad day, put it behind you. Start fresh. Don't have 2 bad days. Go into the next day knowing this has got to be a good day because I did some stuff yesterday that maybe I didn't want to do. start fresh and just make sure, start tracking your calories, and maybe you forgot one day, just restart. That's what I would say.
Okay, so let's kind of keep chugging along, because we've covered the fuel. So you would probably have people start with the fuel. This seems like making sure that they change up the way that they eat. Then we have the recharge and the rejuvenation cycle. Do we then move into like exercise?
Yeah.
Okay.
So exercise has so many health benefits. And honestly, like as far as my journey, I was not at all someone who was doing these things. When I was younger, I played basketball and I was active like through high school. And then I went to college and I was like, oh, I got to get into medical school. So I just need to study all day long. And, you know, there's social aspects of college as well that everyone enjoys. And I did as well. But the priority was not on my health at that time. It was on trying to get into medical school. And so I probably went to the gym. I went to Miami in Ohio and they had a beautiful facility, like amazing place, loved it. But I was probably at their gym, which was beautiful, maybe like 7 times all 4 years, which is not very good. So I didn't think about that. And then I finally got into med school, you know, and I was eating like Choco Tacos for lunch. I definitely had the like freshman 15, did all the things. I wasn't thinking about it. I was young and, you know, really exhausted all the time. And now I'm like, well, that's why, because I was doing all these things to sabotage myself. But then I got into med school and same thing, like, and then you're like studying all day long, constantly. And I didn't exercise. I didn't eat right. I didn't do any of these things. And then suddenly I get into residency again. Like this is like 20 years of my life, so like where I'm just not doing anything that's good for my health. And then I have kids and then I see how they're watching every single thing that I do, whether it's good or bad. And I realize, and I see these patients who they grow up with certain habits and they have these habits because that's what their parents did. And I suddenly realized I have to change the way I do things so that my kids, the people I love most in the entire world, are set up for success. And they learn these habits from a young age. They learn that, you know, food is fuel and that exercise is important. And sometimes that means maybe I get to spend a little bit less time with them because I have to go work out, exercise. But I know that they see that I'm prioritizing my health and that I'm prioritizing exercising. And that's going to make them do that. And that's going to make them do that in the future as they grow. So trying to make sure that you're getting in your exercise, even if you have to make, changes in your routine. I personally wake up at 5 a.m. every day, which sometimes a little earlier, 4:35, a little extra things I have to do, which sounds insane, I know. And I would have never done that years ago. But I read this book called 5 a.m. Club.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of 5 a.m. Club?
I feel like I've heard of the author before. Who's the author of 5 a.m. Club? Do you remember? It's like a guy who, because he has he actually has calls and stuff like that, right?
Yes. I can't remember his name. I should know it. I'm gonna remember it as soon as I can't remember his name. But he's got a bunch. I know he does like a lot of stuff about habits and routine and.
Yes, I remember it was like he invited his friends out to a 5 a.m. call or something like that to hold them accountable. Yes. I had remember hearing this story.
Exactly. And Atomic Habits. I love that book. I don't know if you read it.
Also heard of Atomic Habits. Yeah.
Great book. So now I even forget what I was saying, but I wake up really early so that I can get a jump start on my day and I go work out. I go work out at F45 because there's somebody there who's telling me exactly what to do. If I'm left to my own devices, I'll kind of like go and walk around a gym and not do much unless I have somebody else there. So I think an accountability partner is like a key to being successful with exercise. And when we're thinking about habits and changing your habits, you have to have, so there's different parts of creating a habit and sticking to a habit. You have the trigger, and that's something that's going to remind you to do the habit, or that's that thing that tells you whatever the habit is to kind of trigger you to do it. And then there's like the pattern, that's the habit itself of doing it, and then there's the reward. So with exercise, for example, if you have an accountability partner, say somebody you really like working out with, somebody you just like talking with or hanging out with, if you set it up so that you're going to meet them at the gym, or you're going to go do this, go on a walk with them every night after dinner, then you're going to look forward to that. You might not want to go exercise. I don't really love exercise. I should, I don't. A lot of people hate exercise. Some people love that because you love how you feel afterwards. But I don't enjoy that process of I'm going to go exercise right now. I would rather stay at home and not do that.
Yeah, 100%.
But you get that reward. So you get that, I'm excited to go to the gym because I'm excited to meet my friend who's going to be there too. And we're going to work out together, and we're going to talk about funny stuff, and we're going to enjoy ourselves. And then afterwards, I feel good. I'm more productive. I'm more efficient the rest of the day because I exercise. So you have to make sure you have a good reward. If your reward's not good enough, you're not going to do the habit. So that's a big thing for exercise, I think, is an accountability partner. Or maybe it's music. Maybe you don't have somebody you want to work out with, or maybe you don't particularly like working out with somebody else. And everybody's different. Everybody has things that are going to motivate them. Maybe it's having a really cool playlist that you like, having a solid list of songs that you're going to listen to when you work out. You just have to find that thing that motivates you to do the thing you're trying to do.
That's a very interesting piece of human psychology for me too, that I think about, because a lot of the stuff that I do is all about motivation. How do we motivate? How do we inspire young people to do the mental exercises necessary for them to achieve the result? And I've experienced this in my own life, especially when it comes down to, I think there was a study that they were looking at runners, right? And they were looking at long distance running. What is the mentality of runners who do better as they're running long distances versus those that do worse? And they found that, that there was kind of two camps of runners. There was Camp A, who would take a jog and they would look around. They would kind of like take notice of kind of where they're at, but they'd just be looking at the sights. And then they would have Camp B of runners that would be focused on the end thing at the very end of the finish line. And they found that a lot of the runners that were focused just on that end goal were the ones that ended up doing better.
Really?
They would be able to, as far as if we're talking about speed and kind of efficiency and not necessarily I guess feeling as winded as the other camp of runners. And I bring that up because it seems like when it comes down to exercise, you talked about the importance of understanding how you feel afterwards, and really putting the emphasis, and I think more importantly, the reinforcement of memory on how you feel. And I am by no means like a cold plunge evangelist, but I do enjoy cold plunges. I hate cold plunges.
Yeah, you hate it.
I hate it. No, let's be clear. Let's be clear. I hate cold plunges. But I will have to say, cold plunges are one of those things that I have come to identify the feeling afterwards, because for me, it completely clears out the stress that I feel on a regular day basis, or just tough feelings. It shocks my body into just presence, and it does wonders for me as a person, And when I think about hearing you speak, and I think about the areas that I focus more on, the effects, the exercise, the times when I accomplish an exercise and feel oh snap, I could not do this a year ago. And that motivational force, is that a key driver in some of the way that you architect people and that you advise people in your lifestyle coaching? How do you incorporate that into the work that you do with people?
Yeah. So I have a funny story too about the running that you made me think of too. So I'll say that in a second. But so I try to have patients create a success planner. It's a vision board, but people hate the word vision board. They get cringy about that. I don't know why. So I call it a success planner because they have an easier time making a success planner than a vision board. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do a vision board. There are sometimes the pictures that people put, or just words. I like to be super specific with my vision board. And mine has some pictures in it, but it's honestly a list of all the things that I want to accomplish in the year. And it doesn't have to be New Year's, that's a great time to do it. But mine is I'll put routines that I want to have. So it'll be a list of the things that I want to make sure to do. Maybe it's tracking calories every day. Maybe it's eating completely plant-based during the week. Maybe it's doing a really good skincare routine. I put that in my routines. I have a list of places I want to travel, things I want to do with my family, activities like with my kids. And career-wise, I have a list of things that I want to do. So I break it up into different sections, and I try to encourage people I work with to do the same. Because if you take the time to actually think about what you want to do and write it out, it sounds kind of silly, but you're a lot more likely to do it if you have it. And I print mine out, I make it pretty, I put some pictures on it, and then I hang it like right in front of my desk so that I see it every single day. And I say, I look down, did I do these things? And that's been a huge motivator for me, and it's really helped me achieve a lot more in the amount of, in the course of a year. And it's chipping away at things. You're not going to be able to do all these things in a week, but I've just been able to accomplish a lot more when I lay it all out and I plan for it. I'm a huge planner. I love planning. And I think planning out the things you want to accomplish is huge. So when you were talking about the study about the runners and having that goal at the end, on my vision board or my success planner, I said that I wanted to run a half marathon. Now, I hate running. I don't like it at all. And I don't really know why I wanted to decide that this was going to be on my vision board. But once I wrote it on there, I was like, no, I have to do it. Like, there's no other choice.
Like if running was like a person, I'd like push it while you're like trip running.
Right. But I wanted to be able to call myself a runner. I wanted to be able to talk to my patients who run, and I want to be able to connect with them in that way. And a lot of them were doing these half marathons, and I was like, I want to be able to say that I did that in my life, and I want what better year than right now to say that I want to do this in this year. So I had never run, probably, honestly, like just for running. I said I played basketball and stuff, so I ran a lot then, but I don't like just running to run for no reason. I'm not chasing after something. So the furthest I'd probably ever run before I decided to do this was maybe like 2 miles. And there's a lot more miles that I have to do in order to
Yeah, it's like 13 or something.
Oh, yeah. And so I started, I found an accountability partner. We started running together, chipping away at it. And I just had to commit, and I had to schedule it in my weekly routine where I would pick out the times I was going to run. And the time came for the run, and I had a sinus infection. The person I was going to run with couldn't run, and the other one found out she was pregnant, which was exciting, but she couldn't run it either. So I was running by myself. My headphones died maybe 8 minutes into it, and they didn't work anymore. So I am about to have the worst half marathon and the worst experience, the worst 2 hours of my life, right? But the only thing that kept me going was that I knew my mom and my husband were at the end of the finish line. And I knew that, I don't even know if you're allowed to do this, probably not, but I was going to grab my 2 kids and we were going to run across the finish line together right at the end. And look, I don't even know why I'm getting emotional thinking about it, but it was such a big moment for me because one, I knew I was never going to do it again because I hate running. And 2, I'd worked so hard for something that I wasn't good at. And it was because I was intentional about kind of scheduling that in my routine and making time for it when I really didn't have time because I have so many things to do. And so, that was what was motivating, like you said, that reward at the end where you're looking forward to something, and to that feeling that you've achieved something. So, I'm getting super close. I'm very close to the end. Last mile, I start crying for no reason, which is not going to be good for my picture that I want running across the finish line with my kids, right? So that's stressful. And I see them up ahead, and my kids are standing there. I'm so excited, so I go up to grab them. And this is I'm very exhausted at this point, and I haven't even run the whole 13.2 miles because they say you can kind of count on getting the last couple miles just on adrenaline, which I did. But my kids, my son's good. My daughter decides she's not going to run. And there's it's like maybe 20 feet. Like we've got 20 feet to go. I just need you to run, please, for 20 feet. She's 4 and she decides, she's very opinionated, very stubborn. She decides she's not going to run. So I am like, this is the moment I've been waiting for like a whole year. And so I legit am like, and my son's running and I'm holding my daughter's hand and I'm like, she is just like kind of like stumbling and I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm like pulling her across the finish line. And then we watch this, like the video that my husband took, because my mom gave me the kids, my husband filming it, you know, and I look like I'm injured in it because I'm like limping, like trying to like just pull this 4-year-old across the finish line. And it was like all of this work up for that moment, and she wouldn't even run across the finish line. It's like,
You've been building this up.
it's gonna be so beautiful, triumphant moment we were gonna run through together. And she was gonna be like, I'm gonna be a runner. We were all gonna have this happy situation.
Reality, she's
She's like a dead fish. I'm dragging her across the finish line. But, you know, I still cross the line. Now it's an even funnier story. And the video's hilarious looking at it. Like, or I like sent it to my family. Like, I did it. I couldn't believe it. Oh, no, I hate running. I'm like, they're like, are you okay? Did you get hurt? I'm like, no. But
only my ego.
Only my ego. Only my life goals. But the point of it was like, that was what drove me to be able to do that and to succeed, was like for that moment. And sometimes that reward doesn't turn out to be exactly what you want it to be, but I still was able to accomplish it with that, having that thought of that beautiful situation in my mind that didn't become a reality.
So oh man, this has opened up a lot for me, because number one, what do you then see as your main role in people's journey through this lifestyle medicine piece?
So I like to give people ideas and actionable steps. There's a lot of, you know, big picture ideas, and I'm more of a specific, detail-oriented person. So if someone comes to me and says, I want to be able to, whatever it is, I want to be able to, you know, run a 5K with my grandkids. They want to do something. And then I like to be able to take it back and say, well, we have a goal. And a lot of people set goals, like, I've got all these goals. We can have a goal, but what you really got to think about is your habits. You got to think about that's the goal's not what's going to make it happen. It's the habits that are going to make it happen. So working with them to find what are the things that we're going to do every single day or most days during the week to get to that goal that you want. So if it's running a 5K with their grandkids, how are we going to tweak your meals? How are we going to tweak like when you eat, how you eat, what you eat, who you eat with, these sorts of things that can make them fuel their body in a better way? How are we going to make sure that they get better sleep? Everybody's life is different. Some people work nights, and, you know, people have different situations in their lives where you have to be able to be creative and flexible and find different ways to be able to make things work for them. So I like to pride myself on trying to be creative with patients and trying to work with them to find ways where they may not have thought there was a way to do something before, and to try to find ways to help them achieve these goals by tweaking little things that they might not think will make a big impact, but will make a big impact in the long term.
You know, you seem so put together, you know, like you got everything figured out. You got the success planner, you know, we got the habits that you have, the 3, 2, 1. Was there ever moments like, was you in a past life different? Was there a pivotal moment that brought you into lifestyle medicine?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, I was not anything that anybody should look to for health advice previously, and when I was getting through school and had different priorities. And really when I got informed about lifestyle medicine as a field, that's really what encouraged me to try to make some of these things a priority for myself, and being able to do these things for my kids and my family. And the cool thing about it is, you know, a lot of people will be affected when they have someone in their life that is trying to improve their health. So I try to do some of these things, and not that I'm always hounding other people in my family or my friends to try to, I'm not saying, oh, you need to go get 150 minutes of exercise a week. You're not, I'm not saying you need to eat a completely plant-based diet. But when we go on a family vacation and I, make something that's a plant-based snack or a plant-based meal, and they want to try it and they like it, they're a little bit more encouraged to try to do some of these things for themselves. And if I'm going on a run or exercising, and some of my friends might say, oh, well, like, I would like to go with you. And it's just cool to see, and not even like me saying like, it's because I'm a doctor. It's anybody who does this. If you say somebody tries to change their habits a little bit and starts to do some things that are good for their health, and then other people around them see how good they're feeling and how much energy they have and how much happier they seem, it can really encourage people to try to do the same. And it's just building a healthier community. The more people who are trying to prioritize their health and do these things, it has a ripple effect, and other people will do the same. And whether or not you're telling them they need to or they should, they just see it and they want to, because they want to feel good and they want to have more energy and they want to feel healthier.
Was it an easy decision to get into lifestyle medicine, or were there things at that moment when you were deciding? I imagine it was probably in med school, right? Like in maybe even the transition to med school when you had to make that decision?
So I didn't make it until really I was into my career as a physician. So I had already finished residency, and Dr. George Guthrie, he's one of my attendings, and he had talked about lifestyle medicine. I didn't really know what he meant. I didn't really know what he was an attending. Yeah, he's a mentor for resident physicians who we're in a residency where we're learning how to be good doctors, and there's the wiser doctors who teach us how, and he was one of those for me. And I didn't really, and he didn't push it on us either. I would just see kind of the things he was doing, and it was encouraging to me to see others who live this life. Dr. Amber Orman, she's another mentor for me. Dr. Monica Agarwal, she's another mentor for me, where they live this life, and I just would take little things that they would do and try to apply them to my own life. And I really didn't get into lifestyle medicine until probably the last, I'd say 3 or 4 years, is when I just saw how important it was. And I saw that people are receptive to it, and patients, they want to be healthier. They just don't know how, because nobody ever takes the time to tell them how, because doctors, they just don't have time to do the things that we really need to teach them to have a big impact.
Yeah. I got to ask, we've covered, I imagine part of the stress management is this pre-planning thing as well. Mm-hmm. There's one piece that you discussed that I don't feel like is really touched on too much in medicine, period, which is the social connection portion. I also feel like it's one of those things that's probably shifted the most within the past 20 years, probably 30 years.
Yeah.
But especially the past 10, 20 years.
The internet and social media.
The internet and social media. And from your perspective, from your view, as someone who is in the field of health, what is happening between some of these changes that we experience and that we see on a social level, on a cultural level, and what is happening to the health, to our health, especially the health of younger people who are growing up in this world where there's a new status quo? What do you feel like have been some of the impacts?
Yeah, I think it's scary and sad, honestly, to see how dependent we are on technology and how we've replaced live interactions and social connections with some of this stuff. And now I will say, there are some people who thrive with that. There's groups on social media that's helpful for them. And I'm not saying that everything about social media is bad, but I do think a lot of times we will see this idealistic person maybe that we see on social media, and we think that they have it all together, and we think that they're doing all the right things and it would be perfect to be them. And then we feel bad about ourselves. And I think it can really lead to depression, anxiety, and it can negatively impact our mental health if we let it. And I think people have to just keep in mind when they're on social media that this isn't everybody's real life. People who are showing things that look perfect, there's things in everybody's life that's not perfect. And we just don't document that on social media, because everybody's trying to make it seem like everybody has it all together. Nobody has it all together. So I would try to encourage people to really be intentional about scheduling some of these things as far as interacting with socially with others. So a lot of people will go home at night and just, scroll through social media, watch a bunch of Netflix, and sometimes you need that. You need to just have some time to yourself. And people react differently to interactions as well. So there's some people who are fueled by interacting with others. And then there's others that might not, it might be exhausting for them to interact with others. So they might prefer that. And I think you just have to take a step back and realize how is technology, how is social media affecting me personally? During the pandemic, it was really hard to be a doctor during that time. It was hard for everybody, but there was a lot of negativity, and I was completely off social media for 2 years. I just couldn't get on it because it made me really sad. And it really affected me, and it made me question my intention of being a doctor, because a lot of people were saying, that doctors were trying to hide things from them. And we were all just everybody was trying to do our best. We were all trying to do our best. And it was very, very hard for me and very sad for me to see a lot of this stuff. When I went to med school and I gave up a lot of stuff in my life and missed a lot of family events, missed a lot of things so that I could try to eventually help people. And then it felt like it was kind of that all the hard work kind of felt like it wasn't worth it anymore. So I was totally off, and I just realized I had to take a step back and be this isn't healthy for me right now. And then I was, once things calmed down, things changed, and then now I'm in a better place where I can understand how it's impacting me a little bit more. But I would say trying to set limits on things like that too. So there's a cool thing. I have an iPhone. I'm sure it's on different phones, but you can set timers and say, it's easy to scroll for hours and hours and hours and not even realize and just waste a bunch of time. And for a lot of people, time is our most precious asset. It's limited. I feel like most people would wish they have 10 more hours in the day so that they could get more things done that they need to. So there's things that you can put on your phone. There's a 15-minute time limit, or you can set your time limit on your phone and it'll pop up and be hey, you've reached your limit for the day. Time to move on, maybe do something else that's a little bit more productive with my time.
I don't know. I come from a culture, just a friend group that's always roasting. And I feel like comparison is a thief of joy, and that's the dangerous thing about the social media aspect. So part of me has to do social media with the idea of, I bet your feet stink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Beautiful life, but you know what? At the end of the day, I bet your feet stink. There's something wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't see it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
But it's there.
I know it's there, and I know it's okay.
Right.
No judgment. But at the same time, there's got to be something.
Yeah.
And I think that's also helped with the comparison aspect. Do you have some habits that you try to build in this new, interacting with social media 2.0, especially as somebody who runs their own, their own thing as well, and is kind of has a message that you're putting forward?
Yeah. So the timer has been huge. I think that's a great thing that a lot of people can use that they might not be using now.
Is there one that's automatically integrated into apps?
So you just go, I went into settings, and then you can select a timer on any app. Really, well, I know it does it with Facebook, and I know it does it with Instagram, and it can link two together too. So you can say, well, doesn't matter how I spend my time, but social media, I want this much time.
per day or
So,
something, or
per
okay,
day.
interesting.
And you can skip it. Like there's a button down below that's like, forget about it. Like you can do that if, say, you need, like you're trying to connect with somebody and you need to get back on. But I think it's a useful tool for sure. And other things with social media, I do say checking it first thing in the morning might not be necessarily the best time to do this, because you wake up and the first thing you do is start scrolling through your phone. And it doesn't really set you up for success for the day, because scrolling through my phone is not the priority for my day. Those aren't my big goals that I have to get done for the day. So why do I start off that way? It's better to get up, do your daily routine, do the things that you make sure you have it all set up for the day. You're not missing anything for work. You're doing all the things. It can just be very distracting, I think. So that's another one. Not before bed. Bed's the worst time because of that blue light. Scrolling through it, you might see something that upsets you. You might see something that just gets you thinking about things. And I think for a lot of people, it's hard to shut your brain off when you're sleeping. So I think bedtime's not the best time. But if you could designate like a time, say catching up with people, looking to see what people are doing is important to you during the day, maybe you set a time after lunch, for example, or right after work. Give yourself a little time to decompress. But be intentional about the timing of the day that you're doing it, I would say, is important.
Okay. Is it like optimal time, maybe during lunch or something like that, a midday break?
During lunch, yeah, you do need to take breaks. You can't, just keep working and not take any breaks. So maybe taking just 5 minutes at lunch, catching up on a few things, looking at some things that bring you joy. I think unfollowing things that don't bring you joy. A lot of times I get sad about things that I see on social media sometimes. And I know that's not good for me. And sometimes there'll be something that pops up that's sad or gives you negative emotions. And you want to stop and read it because you're like, what is this? You're interested in it. But I try, the algorithm knows you. They get to know you. So I keep scrolling. Don't stop on that thing that I know is going to bring me down and make me upset or make me, frustrated. Just keep scrolling, and then they'll realize like that's not something I'm into. I'm more excited about this person who has been hitting their goals and is living a healthier lifestyle, and they're celebrating that success. Like, to me, that's a much more positive thing that's going to bring me more joy during the day, to see something positive than to see all the negative things that we can focus on and that are out there on social media.
Yeah, it's like training the algorithm and not really letting the algorithm train us into what to feel, how to be, how we think the world is.
Right.
You've spoken a lot about kind of accountability with people and leveraging some of those social connections for accountability. In what ways, especially having a family as well, have you tried to leverage and bring social connections into your space?
Yeah. So I probably have a bad habit of overbooking my family for social events and things. I would say anybody who knows me would say that is a true statement. But I love planning. I love doing fun things with people. So I feel like, I've got the Skylight calendar, which I love. It's this like big calendar where everybody can see it, links up to Google Calendar. And so I'm very intentional about trying to do fun things with the kids, and we'll invite our friends or we'll do things with family. We're from Ohio, so we go back to Ohio a lot to be able to have my kids see their cousins and be able to see our families and enjoy that time together. And during it, it can be pretty tiring when you're traveling a lot back home, or when you feel like every weekend you've got something scheduled. But it keeps us excited for things. It keeps us looking forward to things. It keeps us engaged with other people, and it is nice. Like this weekend we're not going anywhere. My daughter has a dance recital, but that's pretty much the only thing we're doing, and I'm very looking forward to just like relaxation, to kind of try and get caught up on some of the things we haven't been able to. But when you have these things to look forward to, it makes you happy. when we go back for the 4th of July to my hometown, my dad's.
Which is where?
It's in Ohio, north of Columbus. It's Sunbury, Ohio.
Sunbury. Okay. I got a wedding in Kirtland
Oh, okay.
coming up in 1 month.
Nice.
My first time going to Ohio.
Oh, very, very nice. I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be a nice time there. So the summer is amazing. I love the summer. And so that's why I'm super excited and in a good mood, because I'm thinking of our time that we're going to spend in Ohio for the 4th of July. My dad's a fish farmer. So we have 40 acres. The whole family comes. We have a party we call Red, White, Bob, because my dad's name is Bob. It's like a fireworks party. And, we have this, it's just a really fun thing that we look forward to every single year. And we always make a trip back for it. And it's stressful to do these things and to get there. And, in it, you're kind of like, this is a lot. But the memories we have and looking back at pictures, and there's this concept too of hygge time. Have you ever heard of, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, hygge time or hygge time? Maybe it might be called that.
Hygge?
Yeah, hygge. So
Hygge, I've not heard of.
Probably saying it wrong. I don't want to say it. But
To be fair, I don't think anybody you have first rights on how to pronounce this. Right? I've never heard of hygge before. How you spell it? Okay.
It's like HYGGE some of that.
Okay.
If you Googled that, it would probably come up. But it's this concept of spending quality time reflecting with your family. So we try to incorporate it. Our friends taught us about this. And so we'll look back, and my mother-in-law, she makes this book every year with all the things that the cousins did. And we're the only ones who live in Florida. So, it's hard because we miss a lot of the things that they do together as a family. But we plan, every year we go on a vacation with them where we go someplace. It can be a random place, but we're all together for a week. And then we come back and forth, but we take these pictures, and my mother-in-law makes this book, and it's really cool because it's all the things that we did that year, and it's birthday celebrations, it's our time in the vacation together, and just sitting down at night before bed, that's a great time, and just looking back at some of these memories we have is really good for your mind and your soul to realize how grateful we should be for the things that we have in our life, and practice gratitude, and just to reflect on the amazing experiences we've had, because time's not guaranteed. We don't know how long we're going to be on this earth. We don't know what the future holds for our health. And really trying to be in the moment and reflective of things that we've accomplished in the past and amazing times we've had with our friends and family can be really helpful. So look up the hygge time thing. It's a cool concept of just reflection and being present with those around you that you love, and thinking about those amazing memories that you've had with them.
Out of curiosity, you got 2 kids now. How old are your kids?
My son is 7 and my daughter's going to turn 5 in a week.
Oh, wow. Okay, so even the marathon was just last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. One of the things that I love that you said was, what better year than right now? I think that's one of the things that I love that you mentioned, because I think that that's such an important part of the mentality of how do we change or become the person that we're trying to become in a timely fashion.
Yes. Be the person you want to become. You can think all about who you want to become. Do the things that person does. I want to be a runner right now. I want to be a runner. I don't really, but I want to be able to say that I'm a runner.
Yeah.
So what does a runner do?
Yeah.
They run, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Do those things. You want to be this type of person. Do what that type of person does so that you could be that person. And one of my good friends from college, Ryan Cottrell, he's a personal trainer, and he said something really cool the other day that I thought was a really cool concept. And he said, outwork your self-doubt. I struggled a lot all growing up. Didn't think I was smart enough. Didn't think I was, cool enough. Didn't think I was all of these things enough to do what I wanted to do. And luckily I have an amazing family and amazing parents. And that's really the only reason that I was able to do the things that I hoped and dreamed that I would be able to do that I never thought was possible. But my friend Ryan said, he said, outwork your self-doubt. And I would say that is consistently what I've had to try to do my whole life. That was not the smartest person in college. I was not the smartest person in high school at all. And not the smartest person now, but I work really hard. So I set up good, healthy habits. I make good routines. And even though I think I'm not going to be able to be a doctor someday, I'm not smart enough. My mom said I would always say, like, I'm not smart enough to do this. I'm not smart enough to do this or that. But you can outwork your self-doubt. I might not be smart enough to do it, but I can work hard enough to make that happen. And to me, that was really powerful when he said that, outwork your self-doubt. I thought that was really cool.
Then what advice would you have given to your past self? You know, I always love to kind of end with a little reflection as well. If you were to tell maybe 17-year-old self, or the self that was at your darkest, your rock bottom, your toughest moment, you had the most misunderstandings about these things, what advice would you give them?
So I don't think I would change anything, because everything that happens in your life leads you to where you are now. But I wish I could say to myself to have more confidence, because that was something that I had to develop with time. And I didn't develop the confidence until I saw and until I felt like I had earned to have that, if that makes sense.
It does.
And I would say that just trying to be more aware of the things you want, and that you can do it if you work hard enough. And there was something else I was going to say that I felt like was something that I would really tell myself. Oh, I went in recent years, when I finally had the confidence to kind of put myself out there in ways that I would have never felt comfortable before, like with all this lifestyle medicine stuff, trying to help others grow and help others do these things. I wouldn't have had the confidence to do that in the past. And a few years ago, I started to just say yes to everything, to things that I wasn't comfortable with. And I wish that I would have done that earlier in my life. So, for example, someone asks me to be a speaker at their event. Years ago, I would have said, I can't do it. No, I'm too scared. I'm not going to do a good job. People are going to think this about me. It doesn't matter, though. And I didn't realize that until recent years. Like, worst case scenario, I go up there, it's terrible. Everybody says I suck. What does it change, really? You know, in 5 years, no one's going to be thinking about it anymore. I could probably grow from the situation where I've learned, well, maybe this doesn't work. I could try this and be better for next time. But I was just so afraid and lacked the self-confidence to say, yes, I'll do it. And then the last 2 years, I just say yes to everything, to things that I would have never felt comfortable with before, to things that I currently maybe don't feel comfortable with. And I just say yes, because what's the worst that can happen? And I found that so many things come as a result of saying yes to things. I'm not saying say yes to things that you don't want to do, but say yes to things that will make you grow in the direction that you want to grow. So I would have never wanted to do some of the speaking engagements that I've done. I would have been too scared, but I said yes, and then I have to do it because I don't back down, put it on my vision board, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Planner.
Success planner. So I would say just say yes and see where it leads you. That would be my best advice.
Well, I appreciate you saying yes to coming on the podcast and rocking out with me today, and just opening your story, opening your experience, opening your knowledge to people, especially in the local community. Could you please let people know, where to find you, for those that do not?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. I try to do a lot of health tips on Instagram, showing how to live a healthier life with your family. I do a lot of stuff with my kids. They do some cooking videos, cooking healthy recipes. So you can find me on Instagram. And then you can also visit my website. You can learn more about where I do concierge medicine, lifestyle medicine, working one-on-one with patients to try to help improve their habits. And that is at dolifecoaching.com. Do life because I'm a DO. It's supposed to be like a catch and Liz, but and then where else? I send out a free monthly newsletter that anybody can sign up for. I try to put a recipe on there, expert opinion, try to just give general wellness tips on there. So that's another place to find me. And yeah, if you just Google my name, things will pop up, and I would love to connect with anyone who has an interest in working together, just seeing what I can offer.
So again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Had a blast.